Hi guys, and welcome back to Canada Top to Bottom. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Sharon.
We produce a high quality video about Canada every Wednesday and Sunday, so if you want to learn about life in Canada, how to move here, or just understand a bit more about our adopted home, then hit that subscribe button before going any further.
In today's short video, we're going to talk about a bit of a hot topic right now, which is affecting most people around the world and is particularly relevant for Canadians: inflation. It seems like it wasn't long ago that most of us could simply get on with our lives without worrying too much about politics and economics. But Brexit, Trump, and the economic impact of the conflict in Ukraine have made current affairs feel increasingly impossible to ignore.
Now, we're not going to discuss Trump or Brexit here. That would be quite a long and possibly expletive-filled video, but we are going to quickly explain what's going on with the sky-high inflation which we're currently experiencing here. Let's start by explaining as simply as we can what is going on with the Canadian economy right now and what this means for us as residents and citizens.
For a variety of reasons, far more than we can cover in a short video, the Canadian economy is experiencing high inflation, somewhere in the region of 7% right now. In the most basic terms, this means that on average, everything now costs 7% more than it did last year. So the value of your dollar has effectively decreased by 7%. Unless your income has also increased by 7%, you're likely to be feeling the effects of this pretty severely, because, put simply, you can buy 7% less stuff now with every dollar than you could do a year ago.
Depending on your political persuasion and reading of the situation, the explanations for this high inflation vary, but there's no doubt that a combination of the Ukraine war, COVID, and a decade of record-breaking economic growth are all factors. The new leader of the Canadian Conservative Party has taken to calling Prime Minister Justin Trudeau just inflation, but high inflation is a problem around the world, and it's perhaps a little harsh to single out one person or even one government and suggest that it's all their fault.
Regardless of where the blame lies, and in our opinion it should be pretty widely spread, inflation is an inevitable part of the economic cycle, but even by normal standards it is particularly high right now. The big question is, what's going to happen in the short term which can ease the pain a bit? Well, the answer is sadly not much. The Bank of Canada has suggested that more interest rate rises are coming, and that's going to make mortgages more expensive. But it's necessary to slow down the economy and reduce inflation. When interest rates go up, it encourages saving, discourages spending, and hopefully means that people buy less stuff, and therefore the value of money doesn't accelerate in quite the way it has been doing recently.
Slowing down inflation is not a quick process, and ongoing fuel supply issues are going to make it even harder and slower than normal. It seems that we're going to see high inflation continue for at least the rest of the year and almost certainly for a good chunk of next year. As such, our advice is to make sure you don't overcommit financially, because prices look like they'll continue to rise, and if you're living close to your financial limit, you could be pushed even closer to that limit as prices and interest rates rise.
Our other bit of advice would be to try and find some way of saving and investing money which produces some returns, because any dollar you save and keep until this time next year will effectively be worth 7% less by November 2023. If you've got savings which you don't think you'll need to touch in the next year or two, consider investing them in something which will give you a good return. In order for your money to effectively retain its value, you'll need to find an investment which pays you 7% a year. And that's pretty tricky to find unless you take a very long-term view and invest in property or the stock market. But you might at least be able to get a high-interest savings account which gives you a couple of percent and reduces the rate at which your money loses its value. We've actually got a video about how to save and invest in Canada, and you can see it by clicking the link above.
Whatever you do in this tricky and uncertain time, don't bet on there being any significant changes to the economic outlook for at least the next 6 to 12 months. Everything we've read suggests that we're in for a rough year in 2023, so make cautious decisions, don't overcommit, and make your financial plans assuming that things will stay the same or maybe even get a little worse for the foreseeable future.
So, sorry to be the bringers of bad news, but inflation seems to be here to stay, and we've simply got to make our plans accordingly. One thing you can count on is that we'll be back every Wednesday and Sunday with a Canada-related video. So hit subscribe, and we'll see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. Pacific Time for our Canadian Immigration News Show, which we do live from our studio every 2 weeks. See you then!